This Day in Sports History. And welcome back to another edition of This Day in Sports History, a member of the Sports History Network. It's October 21st, and on this day in 2006, it was the greatest comeback in college football history. Michigan State was on the road at Northwestern. Neither of these teams was very good in 2006. John L. Smith's 4-year tenure as the Spartans head coach would come to an end a month later. His teams had a history of collapsing in the second half of the season, though in 2006 his team never really seemed to take flight. They were just a 3-win team at this point. Northwestern's struggles were a bit more understandable. This was the first season for head coach Pat Fitzgerald, who had taken over after the sudden death of Randy Walker from a heart attack back in June. The Wildcats played some inspired football in this one in an effort to pick up their third win of the season. After the Spartans kicked a field goal to take the early lead, Northwestern ripped off 38 straight points, and with 9:54 left in the third quarter, they led 38-3. The script then flipped, and it was Michigan State's time to score points in a bunch. It started with a Drew Stanton to J.U. Kalkrick for an 18-yard touchdown. A.G. Jimerson punched another in from 4 yards out. After another Spartan defensive stop, Ashton Henderson returned a blocked punt 33 yards for their third straight score with 11:22 remaining in the game. Still a 2-score game, but things starting to tighten up a little bit on the Wildcat sideline. When Stanton kept the football and scored a 12-yard touchdown on a QB keeper, it was down to a 7-point game with just under 8 minutes to play. Stanton went back to the air, connecting with T.J. Williams for a 9-yard scoring strike, and after the PAT, the game was all square with 3:43 left. The 35-point comeback had not been aided by any Wildcat turnovers, just stingy defense and quick offensive strikes. But a late-game interception did play into the game winner. After the Spartans picked off a C.J. Bechet pass, Michigan State went into clock-eating mode, worked the ball down to the 11-yard line, and with 13 ticks left, kicker Brett Swanson kicked the 28-yard game winner. In less than 25 minutes of game time, Michigan State had scored 38 points, erasing the 35-point deficit to secure the greatest comeback in FBS college football history. And it was the only Big Ten win for Michigan State in 2006. On this day in 1975, Boston Red Sox Carlton Fisk willed a home run fair over Fenway Park's Green Monster, forcing a Game 7 in the World Series. This was Game 6 of the 75 series between the Red Sox and the Cincinnati Reds. This game not only had a dramatic end, but was a classic battle throughout. Fred Lynn's 3-run shot in the first put the first runs on the board. Ken Griffey Sr. had a triple that scored 2 runs, and George Foster smacked a double that added 2 more as part of a 6-run Cincinnati explosion. Boston's Bernie Carbo made a little World Series history in the 8th inning with a 3-run blast to tie the game up. It was his second pinch-hit home run of the series, tying a 16-year-old World Series record. The Red Sox nearly won it in the 9th. They loaded the bases with no outs in the bottom half, but they just couldn't get one across, and the game went to extras. The Reds threatened in the 11th, but a Dwight Evans home run robbing catch of a Joe Morgan blast kept the game all square. In the bottom of the 12th inning, and in the early morning hours of the 22nd, Fisk led off the bottom half. And here's Dick Stockton with a call from the game that night for NBC.
There it goes, a long drive. If it stays fair, home run. A lot of body English for Carlton Fisk. He waits to see it. Get over, get over. He knew it. There it is.
Of course, if you're a baseball fan, you know this image, and you've seen it many times, but Fisk raised his arms after he hit the ball. He knew he'd hit it hard enough. That was not a question. The only question was it fair or was it foul? And as if trying to wave a plane pulling into a terminal to take a sharp turn, Fisk waved his arms telling the ball to go right. Now, whether the ball truly listened or not, I suppose we'll never know, but it hit the foul pole netting, giving the Sox the 7-6 win, and it sent the series to a Game 7. Now, the Reds would go on to win the series the next night when they scored a run in the top of the ninth to win the game 4-3. And it was just a year later in 1976 when the Big Red Machine showed their dominance again, this time against the New York Yankees. The 76 series was a contrast to the year before. Cincinnati bulldozed their way through the regular season, winning 102 games. They swept the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLCS, and then they pounded the Yankees 7-2 on this night to win the World Series in 4 games. They became the first National League team to win back-to-back World Series titles since the 1921-22 New York Giants. Reds catcher Johnny Bench was responsible for most of the runs in the series clincher, hitting a 2-run home run in the 4th, and then he added a 3-run shot in the 9th on his way to series MVP honors. And how about a few quick hitters to close out the show? On this day in 2007, Tennessee Titans kicker Rob Bironas kicked a 29-yard field goal in the final seconds to beat the Houston Texans 38-36. That in itself is not that extraordinary until you realize that was his 8th field goal of the game. He connected on kicks of 52, 25, 21, 30, 28, 43, and twice from 29 yards to set the NFL record for field goals made in a football game. He added 2 extra points to also set an NFL single-game record of 26 points by a kicker, eclipsing the 4-year-old record of 23 points set by Dallas Cowboy Billy Cundiff. Bironas' 8 field goals is still the record in the NFL, and the ball he kicked for the game winner was sent to Canton to reside in the NFL Hall of Fame. On this day in 1976, Dr. J became a Philadelphia 76er, and 2 other franchises ruled this day for a long time. The New York Nets were headed to the NBA with the Spurs, Nuggets, and the Pacers, but they were in a bit of a bind. The New York Knicks demanded compensation because of the Nets' invasion of their territory, and because of that, a promised salary increase for Julius Erving was put on hold, and the doctor said he didn't go to 4 years of basketball school to play for his ABA salary. Julius was initially offered to the Knicks to pay the penalty and wipe the slate clean. However, the Knicks said no. They said no to Dr. J. Well, it's still considered one of the worst decisions in franchise history. 3 teams then entered the fray, and Philadelphia won the sweepstakes, agreeing to pay $3 million to acquire Erving and then pay him a $3 million a year salary. The Nets, who'd won the ABA title in '76, completely fell apart, winning only 20 games post-J and have yet to win an NBA title. And on this day in 1973, Los Angeles Ram Fred Dryer became the first NFL player to record 2 safeties in a game. The Rams beat the Green Bay Packers 24-7, and Dryer's 2 safeties occurred on successive possessions. Up 20-7 in the 4th, Dryer broke through and he sacked Packer quarterback Scott Hunter in the end zone for the first one. Hunter was shaken up on that play. The Packers were deep in their own end on their next possession, and Dryer busted up the middle again and caught backup QB Jim Delgado in the end zone for his second safety. And time now for today's non-sports Did You Know? Julius Caesar was actually kidnapped by pirates. They apparently did not know who they had taken, though. When they asked for 20 pieces of silver as ransom, JC said, "Oh, that's not enough. You should demand 50. So they did, and they got it. As soon as Caesar was released, he raised a brigade of men, hunted the pirates down, arrested them, and then had them executed by crucifixion. That's all I've got for you today. I'll be back tomorrow with more This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.